need to approve the previous meeting minutes.
I make a motion to approve.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the third item is to review monthly financial statements. What's that? The one that I wanted. That's the book. Okay, so it's behind there. Okay, so, in looking over the financial statements, I do have a couple of questions, mainly on the balance sheet. And this one we'll have to defer back to Andrew at our back office provider, but the fund balance changed a little bit, which I would not expect to see since that's a closeout from the year before. I know we have been working on the audit, so he probably has made an adjusting entry to that item, but I'm going to verify that with him because it increased from about $50K the prior month to $67.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I never guessed it.
Still can hear? Okay. I'll try to hold it while I'm not typing.
I want to explain that.
Okay, so the fund balance changed a little bit this month, and for those who are not accounting people, that's basically the closeout from the year before. That probably just means that an adjusting entry was made by our third-party office provider, but I'll be checking with him to make sure that that was just an adjusting entry as a result of the audit. Otherwise, cash went up, payables went up. As far as the revenue and expenses, everything looked on track as far as where we are year to date. Nothing extraordinary that I think we need to discuss at this time. Do you guys have any questions or concerns as you look through the monthly financial statements?
Nothing that I can see right now.
Okay.
Seems like we're-
Yeah, from a percentage standpoint, I think we're on track there. Okay. So we will check on that before the board meeting on Thursday. All right. The fourth item is an audit update. We are undergoing an independent audit as required by the state. From a progress standpoint, we reported last month's meeting. The auditors have come out. They came out in early September and did field work, which is basically going through the records and verifying the financial numbers. I have received an update since then. They're having a little bit of trouble tying out our building numbers. Back when they came out for field work, they were not given enough information to tie out the total loan cost. So we are doing our best to try to find that information and get that to them, but there is a discrepancy that's holding up the audit at this point, and it is due at the end of the month. So it may be delayed a little bit, but we're doing our best to try to find those records that they did not get when they were out here for field work in early September. The discrepancy is $2.6 million
And that's on our first building.
on the first building, phase 1. So the documents would have been from when that was being built, March to August of 2017. Any other questions?
What does that mean for us as far as the state goes for the audit?
If we miss the deadline, then it's a problem with the state. We're not sure.
Speak up, please.
I think, yeah, you want to-
Nobody
Are we
can
gonna-
hear in the back. You
What
gotta come back.
what are
Pass that
our
back and
options for
forth.
reconciling?
Our options for reconciling that number, they could issue the audit with, noting that discrepancy exists, but they probably will not. So,
And then we'll still have to come up with an account for that.
correct. Any other questions on
I do not have any other questions.
that? For the new item after the audit update, the bookkeeping services, we have requested bids for temporary bookkeeping services until we hire another, either bookkeeper or director of operations. We are still waiting on one bid, but the costs for the other two range between $2,000 and $3,000 a month. So a little bit under budget if we're comparing that role to these bookkeeping services. But we are going to wait for the third bid before we put that to the board. Sorry, I didn't get. All right, so the next one is the professional fundraiser position, and at the last board meeting, it was requested of us to talk about this role and see what we can do to get a professional fundraising / marketing person for the school to help raise funds, which of course is very much needed in the charter world. So due to some budget adjustments, and actually we'll probably talk about these remaining items all together, we are having to make some budget adjustments on some information that we've discovered recently, and so while we may not be able to move forward with that position right now, we do want to go ahead and put it out there and talk about the need and the cost, and do we want to go ahead and do kind of a market survey for that role. I had received one estimation that it would be between $60,000 and $70,000 for a salary.
Is that in line with what one of those positions would normally make?
That's what I was told from the one estimation, but I think we should do some further research on that. We had received bids for marketing that were a percentage, of the funds raised, all kinds of things. So this is a permanent position that would be a salary-based position and not based on the amount of funds raised for the school, which is obviously more ideal for the school. But I think we would need to do a little bit more market research to see what kind of salary is, and it's obviously going to be based on experience level as well. So I think we just need to establish a range.
And this is the position that the Friends of S.A.I.L supported, and that was through work with Ms. S.A.I.L that they had done that initial research and discussion about that. And at a previous meeting, Ms. S.A.I.L had proposed to the board that they look into that along with Friends of S.A.I.L, correct?
Right. So this is piggybacking off of those efforts. Okay. So would y'all like to move forward, even though we can't propose this position at this time to the board, but move forward with getting some market research?
Yes.
And additional bids as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, and we'll do that and have some information at the next meeting.
And that will come up with.
Yes, in November.
Okay.
We're still having trouble hearing you, sorry.
We're going to get the information on the fundraising for the next finance committee meeting, put that information together, and then it will be presented to the board at the November meeting. Okay, the next item is a storage building need. The estimate for the storage building is $3,100. This is a 16 by 10 building. We have a big need for this for some of the encore classes, and so I feel like we definitely need to do our best to try to fit this in, even with the budget constraints, to maximize the space here in the school. Is this something that we feel like we could go ahead, since it's a little bit smaller amount, and push to the board?
Even with the upcoming.
Even with upcoming amendments to the budget, do you think that's going to be something that we can still do with budget constraints?
I think we can.
All right, so we will present this to the board at the next meeting for their vote. All right, phase 2 updates, portable options. We decided at the last board meeting that the originally proposed building was not feasible. The cost had increased substantially by 50%, and with the loan terms that were available, it made no financial sense to enter into that contract for the proposed building. And so we are now looking at other options.
We are looking at modular options, which are very nice. There's a wide range of things you can do to customize those. So we are getting bids on that. We have RFPs out, which is request for proposal. So we are we have 2 underway, and we are waiting on a 3rd. So we hope to have some more information on those costs at the next meeting. And then we're looking at a wide variety of options, but we're also looking at portable options as a temporary help to the school. And we also have a couple of estimates underway for that. And so we feel that we'll have those at the next meeting as well. We hope to be able to push those at the November meeting. All right. A couple of other small items, and if again, while we're talking about some building updates, there's a kitchen hood that was brought up at the operations committee meeting last week. They're still working on getting estimates for that. Also, there was some discussion around a gravel parking lot on the opposite side where the sign is, since a lot of parents are having to park up that way. The cost for that is going to be about $5,000, and that's about 10,000 square feet of lot. I'm not sure from a need standpoint if we want to push that to the board at this time, especially with the other budget amendment items. But I definitely think we need to hold on to that estimate for the near future. Do y'all have any questions or thoughts on those items? Okay. All right. So that brings us to for this. All right, so that brings us to the 8th item, which is potential budget amendments. We've spent a good bit of time kind of going through the budget as it was originally, looking at spending where we are year to date, and also factoring in a couple of other revenue changes. The student count that was budgeted at 530. It's not, we did not end up with that student count, so it is going to affect our revenue. What was the one? 517. So we have to now kind of look at the revenue change on that. Let's see. There's some other expense items that we're going to need to adjust. We have not, as a matter of conservatism and just being, just from a practical standpoint, we do not budget in any fundraising dollars into our budget. We want to make sure that we are break even based on the revenues we know we're going to get as a school. And so, obviously, if we do get fundraising dollars, that is additional help that the school can have to spend towards future building or students or whatever the needs are. But I did want to let y'all know that we do not budget anything based on fundraising dollars. Let's see. Yeah, and we're not proposing any budget changes at this time because we are still looking at them, but yeah, the nutrition is, always going to be at a little bit of a loss there. So we have to take that into account. The school does supplement the nutrition program. There's going to be some additional professional services, we know. I'm just trying to think big picture here. Those are some of the items that we're looking at adjusting. And again, we're not proposing any changes at this time. It's just a high-level discussion until we get a few more numbers pinned down. And then what we will do is at the November meeting, we will present the first look at the proposed budget. And at that time, and then we will go through everything in much more detail at that time. Do you guys have any questions or comments on these numbers? So, but based on the changes we've identified so far, our bottom line from the proposed decrease is by